Okay, new year, new video to help out with the homework. So we're going to do 7th and 8th grade. So if you're 8th grader, you might want to skip ahead a little bit. Okay, 7th grade. Looking at whether or not something is linear. So we said if it's linear, a linear relationship will have a constant rate of change. So our answers are all going to look like yes, it's linear because there is a constant rate of change, or no, it's not linear because there isn't that constant rate of change. So how we check for that? We look at how does our x value change and how does our y value change. And so we're looking for what gets added or subtracted. So when we look at x, if we're going from -2 to 0, that's increasing by 2. From 0 to 2, it's increasing by 2. And from 2 to 4, it's increasing by 2. So this is a constant rate. X changes by 2 every time. And I think that's the case for all of them. X is constant. So really what we're looking at is how does y change? So from -1 to 0 is increasing by 1. From 0 to +1, increasing by 1. And from 1 to 2, also increasing by 1. So since there's a constant rate for x, constant change for y, we can say this is a linear relationship. Because there's a constant rate of change. And that's really all we had to do. And that's going to be the same for all of these. So let's pick another one. Let's just do number 2. So we look at the change in x. So this is +1, 2 to 3, +1 again, 3 to 4, +1 again. We look at y. From 1 to 4 is +3. From 4 to 9 is +5. And from 9 to 16 is +7. So even though x is good, since this one is changes, it goes 3, 5, 7. It's not constant. So we say this is non-linear. There's no constant rate of change. Okay, and you do the same thing for 3 and 4. So draw your arrows, show the work, don't be lazy. Let's see, family drove from here to there. Use the graph to determine if the relationship between the distance traveled and time is linear, and then explain. So if we look at the line definitely appears to be straight. And if it's a straight line, then it has to be linear. But since we talked about rate of change, we can look at that. So it can't, our time is going up by 1 hour, and then one more, and one more. And our distance from 65 to 130, and if you're not sure what that is, that's just what's 130 minus 65, and that's 65, so plus 65. And then our next one, 195 minus 130, well, that's 65 again. And then our last one, take my word for it, this is also plus 65. So we can say this is a linear relationship because there's a constant rate, and since this is words, we know what this rate represents, distance per hour, so we can say they're going, we can even say it's a constant 65 miles per hour. Right? And since the rate didn't change, it's a linear relationship, we have the rate of change of 65. That's it. So you got a couple you got to do yourself, 3 and 4. Yes or no, are they linear or is it not? And then you're done. Okay, that's it. Alright, now it's 8th grade's turn. So 8th grade, a little bit more involved, looking at surface area of prisms and cylinders. So we said we're going to do the odd numbers, so we'll start with number 3. Here's our shape. And we said we're always going to start with by drawing our base. And since we have two triangles here, we know this has to be a triangular prism. So we're going to draw our base separately. So we have a right triangle. Okay, right triangle with sides of 4, 4, and 6. Okay. So we need the perimeter of that triangle. So we add up the sides. So 4 plus 4. That's not a 4. That's a 5. 4 plus 4 plus 6. And that is 14. Okay. We need the area of the base. Since it's a triangle, it's half base times height. And then we said base and height have to be the two sides that meet at the right angle. Okay, so 4 and 4 have to be our base and height. So it's going to be 1 half of 4 times 4. So half of 4 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. So the area of our base is 8. The height, oh, I should write down my formula so I have something to reference to. Surface area of a prism, pH plus 2b. That's on your formula chart. So we got perimeter of the base. You can fill this in. This is 14. Got area of the base. That's 8. 2 is just the number 2. Plus. So the only thing we're missing is this h. And if you remember, the h we're referring to is the height of not the base, but the entire prism. So that height is 8. Not a very good 8. Can do better. 8. So that's our fourth number here. And then this just becomes something you can put in the calculator. So 14 times 8 is 112. Let me just double check so I don't give you wrong answers and feel bad. Yeah, it's 112. Plus 2 times 8 is 16, which gives us a grand total. Surface area, total surface area equals 128, and our units here are centimeters squared. Okay, that's about it. So let's try another one here. So let's do number 5. So this one, instead of giving you a right triangle, this is our base right here. It's isosceles because two of the sides are the same. So we're going to draw it just like that. Perfect. It's got this height going from top to bottom. We're going to fill in everything we know. So we've got 8 down here on the bottom. We've got 6 going from top to bottom. And then on the left and right side, they're both 7.21. Okay. So again, we start off with perimeter. Now be careful. It's a triangle. So there's only 3 numbers you're going to add. And we have 4 numbers written down. So we only pick the 3 on the outside. So our 3 numbers on the outside are right there. So 7.21 plus 7.21 plus 8. We add those up. It's 1422.42. Okay. The area of our base, formula is still half base times height. And base and height have to meet at a right angle, which is why they gave us this right angle here in this number 6. The only time we're going to use it is to find area. Okay. So it's 1/2 of 8 times 6. So half of 8 is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. So there's the area of our base. And then our last number, the height of the prism, is the number we didn't use when we wrote down our base. The only number left over is this 14. Okay. So then we can write down final formula, pH plus 2b. So perimeter we said was 22.42 times the height of 14 plus 2 times area of the base is 24. So if we put this in the calculator, 22.42 times 14 is 313.88 plus 2 times 24 is 48. Okay, and we add those together. Oops, that wasn't my calculator. Yeah, hold on. Plus 361. S equals 361.88. Okay. And before we leave this, just in case it comes up later, all these just ask for total surface area. But the reason why I split it up and did this extra step here is if you look at this first part, pH, that represents your lateral area. That doesn't include the area of the two bases. So if the question said, what is the lateral area of any of these triangular prisms, instead of worrying about this last part, we would have stopped right here. So like the lateral area for number 3 is 112, and the lateral area for number 5 is 313.88. So in case there's a question that asks you that, or asks what's the difference between lateral and total, instead of having to think of it as it's a separate equation, it's just the left-hand side of the total surface area equation. Okay? But for our purposes today, what we need is the total. Okay? On the back side, we add cylinders. This is a lot more straightforward. Really, it's just you need to use the formula correctly. So formula for cylinder looks like 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. Okay. So a lot of this, you don't even have to look at the problem. 2 is just 2. Pi is 3.14. Same thing on the right side, 2 and pi. So really all we need are r and h. Now h will be given to you. That's just the height. It's nothing tricky there. But what you might have to work on for some of these, it's like number 3, when the line goes all the way across the circle, right? That's not radius, that's diameter. So our diameter is 1.5, and then we have to divide it by 2. Okay, so anytime it gives you diameter, like number 5, or I think number 11 had diameter 2, you need to divide it by 2 before we can do anything else. Okay, but once we know that, then we just fill it in. So 0.75. Our height is 6 plus, and then the second half is 2 times pi, which is 3.14 still. And then r squared is 0.75 to the second power. Okay, and then you can put this in your calculator. So if we say, all right, let's do the first part here. Let's clear this off. So if we take 2 times 3.14, and I'm actually going to put this separate. I know we talked about it in class. I'm going to say it again. This will always be 6.28. So anytime you see 2 times 3.14, instead of having to type it out, you can always just put 6.28. Okay, times 0.75 times 6 plus that times 0.75 squared. Okay, so if we do the left side, so 6.28 times 0.75 times 6, we get 28.26 plus, and then we have, clear this off, 6.28 times 0.75 squared is 3.5325, and then we just add those together. Gives us 31.7925, I'm not sure what it told you to round to, so I don't have the paper with me. So if it said nearest tenth, we'd only have one decimal place. So we'd round this one up. So that would be 31.8 meters squared. If it said round to the nearest hundredth, right? So we'd look at 9 and the number next to it, and then that wouldn't round up. So if it said nearest hundredth, it would be 31.79 meters squared. So depending on what the directions say, choose your answer correctly. Okay. Let's see, number 5. So same idea. So I'm going to copy my formula. And then we just fill in our numbers. So 2 pi, we said that's 6.28. Our radius, well, it doesn't give us radius, it gives us a diameter is 8. So the radius would have to be 4. So it's going to be 6.28 times 4. And then our height is 6 plus 2 pi is still 6.28. And then radius is 4 again, so that's 4 squared. And then you put that in your calculator. Okay? And I trust that you have a functioning calculator that can do that work. Remember how we're doing on time? 16 minutes. Alright, that's enough, I think. So finish up the odds, then you'll be good. Alright. Good night. Or not, I forgot how to stop this. What are we doing? No.